We're going to start, though, with the latest on Marcus Rashford's future. Now, we understand his representatives are in talks with Manchester United over a potential loan move in this window. Ruben Amorim was asked about Rashford today.
How much would you like to see a resolution with this situation as far as where it's at and what's going on at the moment?
I just want to win tomorrow. My focus is to win tomorrow. I will choose the players that I think they are the best to win the game tomorrow. So I'm just focused on that.
So exactly what we expect from Ruben Amorim, not a lot. What can you tell us, Dharmesh?
Yeah, as you mentioned at the top there, Marcus Rashford's representatives are talking to Manchester United over a potential loan move in this transfer window. Now, Rashford's camp, you'll remember, we've been reporting throughout this transfer window. We've been speaking to clubs in Italy and in Spain. And I think the feeling is that they want to get a preferred destination for Rashford, first of all, before then those clubs going to Manchester United to engage and explore the conditions of a deal. Because there's no point in a club going to Manchester United, completely agreeing a deal with them, and then a minute later Rashford saying, actually, I don't actually want to go there. So get that bit out of the way first, so that time is saved in what is becoming a little bit of a saga now. We're over halfway through this transfer window and still Rashford is still waiting to find out where he's going to go. AC Milan, we do know, have made Rashford a top target in this transfer window. That could be accelerated now that Kolo Muani has chosen to go to Juventus. Remember, Muani, not only a target at one point for Manchester United, but a target for AC Milan as well. With regard to Marcus Rashford, all options remain on the table. So he could leave, but he could yet stay at Manchester United for the remainder of this season, and then they'll reassess in the summer.
I think what's interesting here is the fact that he was left out by Ruben Amorim before the Manchester derby. So he's actually not played for Manchester United since early December, the game against Nottingham Forest. So 8 games where he's not been involved. That's a long time as a professional footballer to not be playing football. We've still got no sign of an immediate resolution. So all the time he's missing games. Long-term ambition as well for Marcus Rashford will be to force Thomas Tuchel's hand and get back into the England squad. So this situation isn't great for him either, and I'm sure all parties would like it resolved sooner rather than later.
One thing I'd add to that, if Rashford doesn't go and he stays at Manchester United beyond February the 3rd and deadline day, there's every expectation, and it will probably be forced upon United and Ruben Amorim to try and reintegrate him back into the squad and get him playing, because if he isn't playing and they want to sell him in the summer, his value is not going to be great. So it's in Manchester United's interest that Marcus Rashford is playing football until the end of the season, preferably at a club abroad or maybe even United themselves.
Jadon Sancho Mark II. Listen, if he does go, Dharmesh, surely they're going to need to get someone in, or are they?
I'm not so sure. I mean, there has been talk about Kolo Muani, as we've been mentioning before, but as far as I'm being led to believe, it could be pretty quiet for Ruben Amorim and Manchester United with regard to incomings in this transfer window. The plan, I think, is for Ruben Amorim to really shape his squad in the summer, because that's what most clubs do. They focus on a summer transfer window. And if you think back to when Ruben Amorim came to the club, he wanted to come in the summer. He wanted to finish off the season at Sporting Lisbon. But United, some would say to their credit, well, actually, this is a now or never situation. You've got to come now or it's not going to happen. And so Ruben Amorim had to take that decision. And with that, he has come into the club and he's effectively told them, look, you've employed me because of what I did at Sporting Lisbon. I play 3 at the back at Sporting Lisbon. Manchester United don't do that, so there's going to be a bit of suffering. He could have taken the easy way out and said, let's play a back four. That's what this club is used to. That's what these players are used to. But he's decided not to do that, and he's effectively put the onus on the players. So it's almost an audition for these players. He's going to find out in the coming months who's with him, who can play in his formation, and who isn't.
Indeed. All right, a couple more deals involving United. Diego Leon, Tim.
Yeah, he's returned to Paraguay after completing pre-contractual agreement with Manchester United. So that is a deal that's done. He'll join in the summer, a deal worth up to £7 million. He's yet to turn 18. He won't be 18 until April. So one for the future, but a very athletic player, left-sided player, and one that might fit into Ruben Amorim's formation moving forward.
And one who might not fit into Ruben Amorim's formation, Antony. What's the latest on him?
Yeah, I mean, it's a similar situation with Marcus Rashford, in the sense that I'm sure that Ruben Amorim would like to get some of these issues sorted now, because you mentioned the summer. He could have issues resolving the future of Rashford, Antony, etc. in the summer if they don't get sorted in this transfer window. But talks are ongoing with Real Betis. They are looking to bring him in. They've just sold one of their wingers to Como, so there is a space there. United would prefer to get him out in this window. A loan looks the most likely way of doing that, but talks are ongoing and it remains to be seen whether an agreement can be made.
OK, we covered United.
Marcus Rashford's brother and agent have travelled to Italy to hold talks with AC Milan's executives. It's understood Milan want to sign him on loan with an option to buy. I mean, Dan, obviously Milan seem to be the club that are most vocal about their interest in Marcus Rashford, but they're not the only club after him, are they?
Yeah, it feels like Marcus Rashford could be the name of the window so far, couldn't it? I feel like we'll be talking about him quite a lot in this window, but AC Milan seem to be the ones who are making that contact with his agent, as you mentioned there, Dwayne. But in terms of other clubs who are also interested in Marcus Rashford, we're looking at, first of all, the Champions League finalists of last year, Borussia Dortmund, and then also Serie A giants Juventus. Two very interesting other teams, and we can talk about AC Milan in a second. But when you look at Juventus, for example, Thiago Motta is their manager. Very young team, an average age of 24 years old. How would Marcus Rashford fit into a team that's quite young, developing? Borussia Dortmund, of course, finalists last year. We saw Jadon Sancho go on loan there last year, had quite a profitable year. It was also good for United in keeping his market value as well. But AC Milan look now like they're the ones really making an effort to get him on loan with a potential option to buy as well.
Sam, is Milan a good fit for Marcus Rashford?
I think in terms of the pathway, it's worked for them in the last few seasons. We've seen Loftus-Cheek, Tomori go out there as well. And Serie A in general has been good for players that haven't really found their feet in the Premier League, with Lookman now African Player of the Year. We've seen Tammy Abraham, who's now at AC Milan as well. I think it will just be a good move for him, a place where he can find his confidence. The only thing I would say is that their most exciting player is a player that plays in his position. That's Rafael Leao. He's played 23 times this season. He's been in and out of the team in terms of playing consistently. He's only got 6 goals this season, but his last performance against Inter Milan in the Super Cup was incredible. So I think it will add to the competition for AC Milan. They're still 8th at the moment. They're probably going to be wanting to play Champions League football, and that would be a good challenge for him.
We are constantly receiving new information surrounding Marcus Rashford. Now, we have an update. The latest is that Manchester United are aware that Rashford's brother and agent are in Milan talking to AC. A number of clubs are expected to approach United formally over a potential deal. United are understood to be discussing internally whether a straight loan or a loan with an option obligation is the best course of action. If indeed they allow him to leave, that is. A permanent departure is likely to be assessed in the summer, with United aiming to raise his market value before then. All options are still open, including Rashford staying at United beyond deadline day.
OK, let's bring you up to speed with the latest transfer news now. And according to Sky in Italy, another Serie A club have joined AC Milan in the race to sign Marcus Rashford, and that is Cesc Fabregas's Como. The former Arsenal and Chelsea midfielder is the manager and part owner of the club, and they're keen on bringing Rashford to Italy. It's understood that Como would have no issues in financing a deal for Rashford, whose agent travelled to Italy for talks with AC Milan over a potential loan move earlier this week.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about this player. I get the feeling for quite some time. He always seems to feature in transfer windows, and it feels like this is the window where potentially he'll move. Randall Kolo Muani, 26-year-old PSG striker. He's been linked with Manchester United, and he's very much still a player of interest with regards to Manchester United. However, our information is there's been no further contact since their initial inquiry. Now, we know that doesn't mean it's off the table. Could they decide to look at it in the summer if he was still to be available? PSG are open to the move and would like to sell Muani in this transfer window if possible. He's only made 2 Ligue 1 starts this season, 8 substitute appearances. He's not started a Champions League game. Game time has been hard to come by, and you get the feeling that his time in Paris is coming to an end. He has a contract until 2028 at PSG, so they hold the cards with regards to any potential sale or loan. But what I think is really interesting is the fact that since that initial inquiry, Manchester United haven't gone back to the negotiating table to say, hang on, let's have another conversation here, which may lead you to think that someone else in the Premier League, Michael, could be interested.
Yeah, Tottenham, my understanding is, are still interested in the forwards. He can play across the whole front three. Spurs looking for reinforcements there. Of course, they've signed Antony and Kinski, and he made a fantastic debut against Liverpool. They've got the goalie they want. People are asking me whether they're going to get a defender in. I think the priority is a forward, and Mawani, yes, there is interest.
Right, lots of talk about Marcus Rashford's future in this window, and West Ham are the latest club to show an interest in the Manchester United forward. There is an acceptance that it would be an extremely difficult deal to do given Rashford's wages, and the growing feeling is that Rashford is likely to move to a European club if United do sanction a move. That said, West Ham have asked to be kept updated with any developments. It is believed that those two Italian clubs stay in the running, but Rashford's camp will listen to offers from Spain today. AC Milan, they've made it clear to Rashford's agent that he'd have a leading role in the team. Serie A side Como have also expressed an interest and would have no issues meeting the terms of a loan with a percentage of his salary.
Now, could the Zlatan Ibrahimovic effect help his old teammate Marcus Rashford move from Manchester United to AC Milan? Rashford's representatives have spoken to clubs in Italy and Spain over a potential move away from Old Trafford. Former Milan striker Ibrahimovic is currently working at the club in an advisory role. Zlatan played for 2 seasons alongside Rashford as Manchester United won the EFL Cup and Europa League in 2017. And Ibra said this: Rashford, I know him very well. I played with him when he was young. He did great things with Manchester and is one of their players. Everyone wants to play for AC Milan, one of the biggest clubs in the world. Difficult operation. We haven't spoken to him yet. Let's see.
I think the thing is, you never know. We've seen it recently happen with Sancho. We've seen it happen with Sterling. So it might not be off the cards. Obviously, Rashford is a big Manchester United fan, growing up like that boyhood club. So would he want to go to maybe like an Arsenal? We're here in West Ham. I don't know, but I think there is a possibility there. It's not out of the question. But like Flex said, it's up to the financial side of things as well. Will the Man United hierarchy want him to go to a rival? Or if the finances are right, can he go?
That Arsenal one's really interesting, though. Yeah. With what's happened to Jesus.
You could Sterling and Rashford imagine at Arsenal online.
Last minute, dying hours of transfer deadline day. Rashford, do you want to get here? 6 months loan, no obligation. I tell you what, I wouldn't 100% discount that, but I'd just, on a personal, I'd just like to think that Rashford would just want to clean break, get out of the Premier League.
Right, let's bring you this. AC Milan are expected to formally approach Manchester United over the signing of forward Marcus Rashford. Milan advisor and Rashford's former teammate Zlatan Ibrahimovic has spoken publicly about wanting to speak to Rashford about a move. Rashford's camp have spoken to a number of European clubs to explore the conditions of a deal. As it stands, it's believed United's preference remains a straight loan if they are to allow him to leave. Rashford was once again left out of the matchday squad for Sunday's FA Cup third-round tie at Arsenal. Head coach Ruben Amorim saying, I don't know, we will see, when asked if Rashford had played his final game for the club. While United accept they will have to pay a substantial portion of Rashford's wages, they will look into incentivising the structure to ensure the deal works for them. So I think if anything's clear here, something, whether he stays or whether he goes, whether it's on loan or whether it's permanent, something needs to be sorted. Everything seems to be up in the air at the moment.
Yeah, I think both player and club need that clarity. And I felt when Ruben Amorim come in, I think that was one of our questions. We were saying, can he get the best out of Marcus Rashford? Because I think we all know the qualities that he's got. He showed it when he scored, was it 30 plus one season? So he can do it. He can do it in the Premier League. But it just doesn't look like it's going to happen. I think being sort of an academy product, the scrutiny, the expectation is very much on him all the time. We're very much watching everything that he does. So you feel if it's best for him and for the club, then maybe it is time for a new challenge.
OK, well, Kobbie Mainoo and Alejandro Garnacho, people are saying, hang on, they're academy players at Manchester United. United might need to sell them. Do they?
Let's make one thing clear. Manchester United do not want to sell Kobbie Mainoo, and they do not want to sell Alejandro Garnacho. They're not actively looking to sell either of those players. However, and I think this is the case with every club, it can't just be pointed towards Manchester United as well. Nobody in the squad is untouchable. Because if you could go to any squad in the country and, not for sale, and then if an outrageous offer comes along, it's going to be considered. So I think that's the case with every single player. As for Mainoo himself, we're told he's got no concerns at all over his Manchester United future. He feels valued at the club. His contract is up until 2027, with the club holding a 1-year option on that contract. But they want to reward him because he's been so good for the club. They want to reward him with a new contract on improved terms. Talks have been underway over a new contract, and communication lines remain open. As for Garnacho, he's got a contract that runs until 2028. And one thing I would say as well here, while Manchester United will be confident that they are compliant with profit and sustainability rules, it's clear that they would need to move some players on in order for Ruben Amorim to bring new players in to fit in the style that he wants to play. Remember, Ruben Amorim didn't actually want to join until the summer because he wanted that clean break. But it was now or never as far as United were concerned. So now he's having to learn about these players as he goes along. Hence why I think it will be a slower process. But come the summer, he wants to be in a position where United can actually go for it. But he also knows, and the board know, that homegrown players like Mainoo and other players who have come through the academy and been there since they were young boys, they would represent, as we've been talking about many times on this transfer show, pure profit on the books if they were to be sold.
Absolutely. And United have said, Michael, no player is untouchable, hence why we're talking about Garnacho and Mainoo. If you're a United fan, should that worry you?
A little bit, but you look at Manchester United at the moment and you hear any ex-player, I think there's an acceptance that it's going to take at least 2 or 3 windows for Ruben Amorim. It's clear he's got his own philosophy, but these players don't fit at all. It's been a really tough few years for Manchester United. Yes, they won the FA Cup in May, but maybe that was just one little positive on what's been a really dark year or two in terms of recruitment. But the last thing you'd imagine Ineos wanting to do is selling someone who's been such a bright part of Manchester United over the last 12 months.
Yeah, well, Ineos certainly doing things their own way, aren't they? So you never say never. There is a bright spot for Manchester United today, though, Dharmesh. Tell us.
Yeah, potentially great news this. Ruben Amorim, the Manchester United head coach, said that this particular deal was close, and I'm talking about Amad Diallo and his future. We're told an agreement has been reached between Manchester United and Amad Diallo over a new contract. The formal announcement could come very, very soon. He had entered the final 6 months of his contract. Now, United actually had the option to extend that for a further 12 months, but they decided not to exercise that option, instead enter into talks to give him a new contract to properly reflect the good performances that he's produced for Manchester United, particularly under Ruben Amorim. So it wasn't going to be just a case of extending for another year on the current terms. They wanted to get him a new extended contract on improved terms. And I think everyone has seen, and it's been widely recognised, that Amad Diallo has been effectively Manchester United's best player since Ruben Amorim took charge at Old Trafford. So good reward, and probably a deserved reward as well.
Yeah, he's gone really well for United. Believe it or not. Right, I promised you more Manchester United. I'm going to give you more Marcus Rashford. Dharmesh, is he any closer to leaving?
Possibly. I mean, what I would say is that Manchester United are aware that Marcus Rashford's brother has been in Milan, just exploring the conditions of a potential loan deal to AC Milan. But look, a number of clubs now are expected to formally approach Manchester United over a potential deal. Milan have made him their primary target for this transfer window. Borussia Dortmund, Juventus are also interested, among a number of other clubs. But just talking about Dortmund, their boss, Nuri Sahin, was asked directly about the potential signing of Marcus Rashford. He said this: anything can happen. It's not as easy as in winter as it is in summer. We'd be prepared to do something, but we'll only do it if it makes us better. We're not going to get carried away. But since then, Sky Germany have kind of poured a little bit of cold water on this by saying that maybe the deal that Dortmund would want probably wouldn't be agreeable to Manchester United, because we do know that any loan deal would require United to pay a substantial amount of the wages that Rashford earns. And even with that, Dortmund may find it a little bit too excessive to be able to pay that much. But look, never say never with that. Sky Germany are just saying at the moment, not so strong with Borussia Dortmund. But clearly Milan is a big target for Rashford. As for United, with regard to Rashford, we understand that they are now discussing internally what the best course of action is. Do they do a straight loan? Do they do a loan with an option or an obligation at this stage? Because they need to weigh up the risks associated with the potential market value come the summer. Because if they just do a straight loan and he performs well, it will send his market value up. If they do a straight loan and he doesn't perform so well, what will that do to the market value? And the in-between stage, if they allow him to leave, is if they put an option price on it now that is probably halfway between what they want and what it is now, then they kind of hedge their bets. But then the gamble is he plays really, really well and they could have got much more money for him. So lots of things to discuss for United. We think that a permanent departure for Rashford will probably be reassessed come the summertime. But all options are still open. And that even means Rashford staying at Old Trafford beyond deadline day. A bit of news from today, their training session, Marcus Rashford wasn't training with the rest of the squad, but I think that was planned because he was ill. He missed the game against Liverpool, and as a result, he had his own individual training session.
Been ill a lot, hasn't he, lately? Michael, tell us why Zlatan Ibrahimovic could be in amongst all of this.
Well, firstly, he's a huge fan of Marcus Rashford's, and he was a fan of his when he played alongside him in the 2016-17 season, and back then he called him England's future. Ibrahimovic is a representative, an ambassador of AC Milan, and clearly speaking highly of him. AC Milan have just come off the back of their Italian Super Cup win. They've got the charismatic Sergio Conceição as head coach now. Some fantastic shots of him in the dressing room with a big cigar, and maybe it's a fresh start for AC Milan and potentially a fresh start for Rashford.